So when I first moved home, my sister signed me up for BC provincials, and that was my first ever tournament. She gave me like a stack of discs, and she drew on the back of them like the shape it should make if I threw it flat.
All right, we have a great guest. You just heard from her. That is Julie Moens. That interview is coming up a little bit later in the podcast. But first, we have some other disc golf stuff to get towards. And we're going to talk about our sponsors now.
Yeah, absolutely. This episode is brought to you by DiscGolfPark. As we've said time and time again, DiscGolfPark makes a great basket. They also make signs and tee pads. They can supply you for your next course project, or you can use them for the design itself. There's a lot of great designers across Canada. I myself just checked out a Matt Reardon project here in southern British Columbia last weekend. It's shaping up to be super cool. Great use of that property, and I'm sure it wouldn't happen without a designer like Matt on the job. Check that out in the next few months, I believe. The rough work is in the ground. Not quite complete yet, but boy, when it is, it will be a place to play.
Yeah, I'm excited to check that one out. I haven't been to that property yet, but I hear so many good things about it.
I'm sure we'll be posting about it, and the Disc Golf Park guys will be posting about it sometime soon.
Yeah. All right. Why don't we talk about DDO right away? Oh, actually, first of all, we have our beer of the evening is from Fieldhouse Brewing. It's in Abbotsford. Have you ever had anything from them?
I have not had anything. When it said proudly brewed in East Abbey, I was thinking this was like an abbey, like a religious place, because there's a lot of Trappist beers brewed in abbeys by monks. But this is East Abbotsford.
Yeah.
Which I guess, close to Raptors Knoll, there might be a little disc golf magic in this can.
Yeah.
Well, to your health.
Yep. I picked this one specifically because I actually really like it.
That's a good reason to pick it.
Yeah. So we're gonna. There's a little bit of Ultimate talk with Julie Moens coming on. I played a little bit of Ultimate when I was in Abbotsford. I was working out there for a summer and played a little bit of Ultimate there. And we went to Fieldhouse a couple times after our play, and it was just a great little brewery. If you're ever in the area, definitely check out their little brew house. And then this one, I think they must have just started distributing a little bit more because I had never seen the cans before. I've seen the bottles, but I've never seen the cans before. And this was actually a gift because I was surprised with a bit of I can't call it a baby shower for me, but it was a surprise baby shower, and this was my gift. So
nice.
Yeah.
the dad baby de-stressor box.
Yeah, exactly.
First sip, it's like for a pale ale, modern pale ales are usually quite bitter. It's only a 16 IBU, very drinkable. This is definitely a beer I would reach for after a hot round of disc golf in the sun, or a hockey game or softball or whatever you've got going on. Ultimate,
And spring has sprung here because it has been a little bit warm. It's been really nice. It's perfect disc golf weather right now.
Yeah, I'm not sure if you can see it on the camera because our lighting is so good. But I went to my mother's house for dinner on Sunday, the day after our disc golf tournament. She's like, "You got some sun on your face, Jesse?"
We're just saying something because Golden's a pretty wooded course. So.
Golden's a super wooded course, and like the weather the last couple of weeks, it was hanging on to the last bit of winter. But this last full 7 days probably, it's decided to be spring in full swing, and I'm ready for it.
I think that means that we got to get our league night set up sometime.
Oh, so. Absolutely. I'm ready for league night.
Yeah. All right. Why don't we get into DDO talk? The weather was absolutely insane. I don't know if our listeners have been following up with that, but the numbers, there were some big numbers that came out of that weekend.
Oh yeah.
It was kind of crazy.
It was absolutely crazy. When you see a tournament where the winning scores are single digit under par or barely into the double digit under par, and multiple people that are on that lead and chase card having rounds that are 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, maybe even 10 over.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's something that says, whoa.
Yeah.
The weather was crazy because no matter how hard you make the physical structure of the course, whether it's with obstacles, mandos, or OB, these guys are good enough that they can navigate that comfortably. And there has to be an extra factor. And obviously anyone that watched knows that factor was the wind. And for someone like me, almost unplayable conditions.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know what I would have done. Probably quit. I don't know.
Yeah, I think Matt Bell might have taken the exit that way.
Yeah.
I know you're not.
Well, he won the 25K.
Exactly. So. You're not supposed to DNF unless you're injured. Otherwise, it's potentially ratings manipulation.
Yeah.
But if I had 25K in my pocket already and walked up to Gale Force Winds on the tee box, I might be like, you know what? My tummy hurts. I gotta go.
That's pure speculation, by the way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Hopefully Matt Bell is feeling okay.
No disrespect to Matt Bell at all.
Yeah. Speaking of aces, the second round, which is the windiest round, I believe Jeremy Colling got an ace on that same hole.
Was that 2 or 3?
I thought it was the second.
The UDisc.
Yeah. As we consult that, it was not for 25K, but.
So that was round 3. And
okay. Round 3. There's barely any wind then.
Tons of wind. I know sidearm destroyer center of the basket is what I saw.
Yeah.
And that's got to be good for Germ. It's obviously been a thing for many years now that the aces always happen in his group and he never gets one. And what an ace to get for your tournament ace.
Yeah. I believe there was an FPO player that had it. I'm not sure who it was. I don't think it was anyone on any of the league cards, but
her name is evading me, but I did see the post about it because she made the Sportsnet top 10
something like that.
Not the televised one, but the Snapchat plays of the week or something like that.
Right. And we're just gonna look it up here. I got nothing.
Well, you keep looking for a second because that was also aced in practice by Blair Orn, who is the Icelandic champion. It's all over Innova's Instagram. And he just threw a really clean backhand with an eagle. Again, dead center and stuck.
Yeah.
I know a lot of these guys are kicking themselves that they either didn't do it for the 25 grand or didn't do it in the tournament because there was, I think, even another practice ace. But
I think
that's one that you can hang your hat on and say, I ran maybe the most intimidating island on tour and put it in the chains.
Yeah, that's huge. I can't seem to find it. I just remember it came across my socials. So if we can find it by the end of the episode, we'll shout her out too because that is well deserved.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of FPO, this I guess we'll just go over who won the MPO. It ended up being Ricky that took it down.
Mm-hmm.
And Simon Lizotte came and he pushed in the third round.
Oh yeah. I remember specifically his highlight throw from the drop zone to circle 1 over the trees in the most Simon fashion possible.
Yeah.
But it's cool to see Simon playing good golf.
It's awesome.
With those conditions, I had to wonder if having that much power and the ability to throw a very overstable disc in the wind might have led to his success. Or he just played great.
You got to think because Thomas Gilbert played pretty good too.
Mm-hmm.
He played pretty good. He was on lead card for 2 rounds, I believe.
Yep.
2 and 3. He blew up a little bit in the third round.
Yeah, that third round, I'm going to look at it now because that was, he threw a plus 12.
Yeah.
After being under par in the first 2 rounds and then finishing, with a 3-down final round. And any score on that course with a minus in front of it is a good round. Maybe more than a good round, a great round.
Yeah, totally. And then I guess for the FPO, shout out to Max, 55th place, I believe, and Casey had some trouble. This is his first tournament, so we'll give him a pass on this one.
Yeah, I read his social media post as well, just saying like wind in Kansas is something else, and it's kind of the story of that tournament that wind in Kansas is something else.
Yeah,
but when you have never played in that kind of condition in your life, Casey's been playing for a decade and no one up here has ever been exposed to wind like that.
Not like that.
No, it's obscene.
So hopefully he can rebound.
Yeah. Oh, I think, the combination of the weather, nerves, I think he drove 24 hours in 2 sittings to get down there. There's a lot. And also for people that don't know, we're at fairly high elevation. Discs fly quite stable up here.
Yes.
When you go down to Kansas, suddenly your stable discs are flippy, and then you get to play in borderline hurricane, tropical storm level wind for 2 days. It's hard to trust your discs, and it plays havoc on your mental game and all sorts of other stuff.
Well, I had that experience when I went down to Arizona over the winter because I was going down there and I was like, whoa, I could throw 350 feet. This is crazy.
Look at all this free glide.
Yeah. And then came back up and it's like, oh, these discs are different again.
Yep.
So, yeah, very interesting. But yeah, now we can get to the FPO. It was a really cool battle. It was a really great battle. On the last day, Kristen Jadar takes it down. She takes down Katrina Allen. It was pretty back and forth for a while there. I know Kristen had a significant lead going into the third round. She had a rough start, and Katrina Allen caught her, and she took the lead for a little while. But then it was back and forth throughout, and very entertaining to watch.
Oh, definitely. Just looking at it now, like Katrina throwing 5 under for the round, which is fantastic by any standards. But Kristen did play a very, very clean final round. I'm looking at it now. There's a 1 single bogey, 1 double bogey, and 5 birdies on that card. To have what we call beige golf, a lot of pars, not a lot of blue, not a lot of orange, not a lot of red, those kinds of things, is really good golf in those conditions.
Especially in those conditions, for sure. And that's the thing. Like she had that bogey and those double bogeys back to back, and that's when Katrina took the lead. But she rebounded like crazy, and she finished so solid through the back 9 and even before that. So it's really nice for her. That's 2 in a row for her. Arguably, probably the best female in disc golf right now.
Yeah, I don't think it's even arguable.
Yeah.
If the results mean anything, which they should. Yeah, and to see Kristen go back to back after the whole fiasco with her daughter not being able to caddy, that's a sign of a strong mental game and a lot of determination. So
yeah,
congrats to Kristen for sure.
Yeah. And I mean, I was hoping to see a few Canadian women in this tournament, but unfortunately, no one was able to make it down. So hopefully, the next one will have some Canadians, and we can talk to you about them.
Yeah,
see how they do down there.
Yeah, absolutely. That's almost surprising because DDO is such a big event. There's so many players from all over the place. To not see any Canadians was honestly shocking to me because that tournament is huge. On the AM side, they have to play like 6 more courses. They got the players party, the block party, the night market, all this stuff going on.
Yeah. Well, maybe this is speculation, but maybe that has to do with the new rules about how you can get in and apply to get in with your ratings and all that stuff. That, I think it's a little bit more difficult for some people to get in, and maybe Canadians just sort of fall into that niche category that maybe had a hard time. But
yeah, I'm not sure how it works for DDO specifically, but I know for touring pros, they get registration preference, but you have to have a tour card.
Exactly.
So DDO is definitely one of those, mark it on your calendar every year events. And it might have been tough for people that aren't playing more than, 1-2 tournaments that might be part of the tour.
Yeah.
Or probably, the only tournament that they would play that's part of the tour.
Or maybe no one can make it.
Yeah. All of our players had doctor's appointments.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did want to touch on something about that course for the listeners. They redesigned the Jones course to be the Supreme 18.
Oh, okay.
They've got a ton of OB and islands, roped OB everywhere. There hasn't been a Glass Blown Open or DDO that I have seen that didn't have a ton of wind. Do you think that course should be changed to remove more roped OB so it's more playable? Or do you think we should see the weekend move to a time where weather in Kansas is a little more agreeable for disc golf?
Yeah.
I'm not sure personally about the climate down there, but I do know around here that springtime, we get a lot more
Typically
wind
more
than we
windy.
do midsummer.
Yeah.
And maybe that could be the thing that fixes it. Because a lot of people looked at that and went, what is going on?
Yeah.
You look at the lead card in FPO or MPO that finished, Ricky and Simon, Vino Makela, Aaron Gossage, those guys are all players. But then you look at the chase card, Logan Harpool, good player, Not someone you typically see on the chase card. Jake, whose last name I'm not going to attempt.
He was on lead card.
He was
Jake
on
was
the lead card, but not someone you typically see on the lead card. And you'll see it this mixed in kind of players you don't usually see. And I'm not sure if because of the wind you get bad rolls, some bad breaks, and it removes a bit of the skill part of it. Not to disrespect those guys, because anyone can play well at any time.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe we need some disc golf park course designers to take a look at that course and make it more playable for the wind, or change the time of year. We will get another look at it at Worlds. We'll see if they make any changes. We'll see if the weather cooperates better, and we'll see how that course plays again.
I think it makes sense to do something because it's not like it's unwatchable disc golf. Everyone's going to watch it still. We still love the sport. We like, seeing what professionals can do in tough conditions. But if players aren't scoring and they're not scoring well, then it's not the easiest to watch.
Yeah, it's tough to watch, 4 of the best players in the world play a hole, have everybody bogey it, and have one guy take a 9 or something like that.
Yeah.
It is a skill to play in the wind, and I know a lot of people that play in, I guess we'll call it Tornado Alley with crazy weather in the spring and stuff, are more equipped to play in this wind.
Yeah.
But I think there's a level that you get to where no one's prepared to play in it. Exactly. And I think that happened last weekend.
Yeah. One tiny little note. I'm going to attempt his name. Have you seen the way that Jake Hebenheimer putts?
Oh, it's totally Hebenheimer, and I could have done that easy. I just saw some extra vowels and I chickened out. Yeah, does he do what they call the cornhole putt?
Yeah.
Yeah, he swings it. See, I used to call this the dad backhand, and I think a lot of people call it the dad backhand. Sure. Because when your dad had a beach frisbee and he took it down on the right side of his body and flipped it out to spin it.
Yeah, exactly.
He does that just without the aggressive spin. It's more of an outside pitch putt with the step. And in the circle, he step putts, but he step putts to his lie. And then doesn't have any other movements. So it is legal, but it does kind of raise your eyebrow.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting. I feel like it's one of those mechanics that, it obviously works for him. He made lead card, so that was huge. But yeah, it's one of those things where I personally feel like there's in all that movement, there's a lot of mechanics that could, theoretically go wrong. So, yeah, very interesting putt. Check it out if you haven't, because it's cool to see.
Yeah, I think I saw it on social media somewhere. So if you're following a lot of disc golf people, then it will come across your feed. Yeah. And if it doesn't, you should check it out because it is very unique.
Yeah. All right. I think we should get to the interview now. And this interview is brought to you by BR Disc Golf. Have you ever been to an online disc store?
Yes.
Have you ever been to an online disc golf store physically? No, because it's the internet. At BR Disc Golf, it's in Central Alberta. It's a retailer. You can hold the disc in your hand. There's a lot of people that travel through Central Alberta on their way to or from Edmonton or Calgary. Definitely worth going to the shop, checking it out. You can hold the disc in your hand, feel what you're about to throw. You get to you get the disc golf experience in a store. So it's cool. And they also have bags, targets, everything that you're going to need. They are starting to sell online, but they're mostly a retail store location. And from what I hear, it's a great spot. Definitely worth checking out.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know a lot of people will be driving that road. There's a lot of tournaments in Southern Alberta. River City Cup up in Edmonton. If you're coming from Southern Alberta, you must be driving right by. Or even in Lethbridge this coming weekend. There's going to be a lot of people from Edmonton and Calgary driving down. So
and they're
check it out on the way by.
They're involved in putting some courses in as well. So there's a few more courses going into Central Alberta as well. So it's definitely starting to become a destination for disc golf. So definitely worth the trip.
Yeah, absolutely. Next time I drive by, I'll be stopping in. I'm a plastic junkie.
Oh, yeah.
So every time I walk in those places, it's like a kid in a candy store.
Well, and the best part is when you go try to get these special runs and everything online, they sell out within minutes. And BR Disc Golf, they carry runs for a little bit longer just because they don't sell out. There's not as much traffic coming through the shop, or maybe the people that come in, they might not know as much about the disc, but definitely you're able to get your hands on some rare plastic there. So
yeah, that's really true actually. And it's such a great benefit. I know there's so many people that wait for the Sexton Firebird to come out and set up their box online to buy it automatically. And half the time it's for resale. They don't even throw the discs.
Oh, for sure.
It's almost insulting.
I got
for the
discs
people
on
that play
my
the
wall.
game.
Yep. Not a lot, but I got a couple.
So yeah, anytime you can actually get your hands on one of those special runs without having to fight the resellers, it's a big bonus. So shout out to those guys.
Yeah, cool. All right. Without further ado, Julie Moens. All right, everyone. We have Julie Moens, who is an up-and-coming professional disc golfer from Victoria, BC. Some of her highlights in her short career so far include finishing second at the Amateur World Championships in 2021. She then proceeds to enter the professional division and hits the road running with 3 top 2 finishes, including 2 first-place finishes in the FPO division to close out the year. Amongst her impressive performance so far in 2022 is a 14th place finish at the Las Vegas Challenge. It's our pleasure to welcome to the show, Julie Moens. Welcome. So I'm very excited because I actually come from an ultimate background as well, and that's where you started throwing discs. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Did you find it pretty easy to transition over to disc golf, or how did that all go down?
I feel like it should have been easier than it was, but like for anyone who's played ultimate, the ultimate disc is it flies like an understable, like a putter or something. And it flips up quite flat, but so ultimate players with big throws should have an advantage. They should be able to like switch in pretty quickly and start to throw understable stuff or putters, but that was not the approach I took.
Right.
I did like all overstable everything to start. So I don't know how much it helped me to start.
Yeah, I could see how that transition would be difficult.
Yeah.
Do you find there's certain discs that transition well for you now?
Yeah, I think so. Like one of the strongest part of my games is probably like my I would guess like inside 175-ish, like forehand up shots with the Rico or like my putter. And I think that's like a very ultimate throw. Similar to just like flip up backhands, I throw like mostly hyzer flips for drives and like approaches. So yeah.
Yeah,
now I use those ultimates goes a lot.
Yeah, I was telling Jesse that's kind of pretty much like word for word exactly what I said when I was talking about how I started playing, and that was kind of my transition as well. So, So when did you actually start playing disc golf?
So actually, I guess when I was in high school, so like in 2007 or 2008, my dad gave me a couple of discs. Like he gave me a diamond and a putter or something, and I played with those a little bit, but like not very much. Like we'd go out to the park once in a while and play disc golf, and then I played like ultimate really seriously for a long time, and it was probably like 10 years, more than 10 years before I could like beat myself playing with an ultimate disc with disc golf discs. So it took a while to do that. And then I started actually playing a lot. I lived in the UK for a while, and I moved back here in 2017. And my sister was really into disc golf, so I started like hanging out with her and throwing some discs. She gave me some discs, and most of it started then, and then it like started really seriously when the pandemic started, because I stopped playing ultimate and just was looking for something to do, and disc golf was it.
Yeah. Are you playing ultimate now that it's sort of started up again, or are you going back and forth?
I haven't been. No, I did get a spot on the women's masters team for Team Canada for Beach Worlds this year, but it got canceled, so I didn't go and play that. And I played at like a little local tournament last weekend, but really I haven't been playing very much. Like I'll go play pickup, but mostly disc golf.
I was gonna say the only reason I asked was because I just got back from playing ultimate tonight. We have a crew of we had 6 or 7 of us, so we're actually playing ultimate, but I just find that you have to like reteach yourself how to throw an ultimate disc after playing disc golf, because it's totally different.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was weird because actually my ultimate strength was always like I was always a cutter and I could throw pretty far. Like I could throw hucks, but like when I've been playing now, I've noticed I'm good at different things. Like I won't even try hucking it really because it tends to just turn over and go like a laser.
Yeah.
But I'm really
Yeah.
good at like snappy around like dump and swing passes because I have so much more like spin on the disc than I
Yeah.
used to. And yeah,
Cool.
so it was weird like noticing the changes.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Very cool. So what led you to start playing tournaments?
Um yes, it's interesting. It's interesting. My sister, so when I first moved home, my sister signed me up for BC provincials. And that was my first ever tournament. She gave me like a stack of discs, and she drew on the back of them like the shape it should make if I threw it flat. And like she drew that, and she was like, some of them should just be like, don't throw this in a headwind. And we went and played, and it was in Kamloops at Rose Hill.
Oh, okay.
And there's a really nice course at Rose Hill, and then there's a not so nice there. I don't think it's even there anymore, but across the street there was this second course that was, it felt
Yeah.
like somebody had just like took a chainsaw and made like a 3-disc wide fairway everywhere. So it's actually, I'm surprised I went back to tournaments after that because I was really very bad.
Yeah.
But then I just had fun, and all my friends were doing tournaments, and I'm competitive, so I started signing up for like all the duck golf tournaments, and yeah, that's how it
Cool.
so it went for me.
That's super interesting to me because I was at that tournament, and that was the last tournament they played on that course before it got removed. But coincidentally, that was also my girlfriend's first tournament, and it was her third round of disc golf ever for round one. And I just kind of threw it to the world. Same thing, like between rounds, she'd be bringing her discs up, like, what did this one do again? And I should have drawn on the back. That's a pro move. I need to remember that for next time.
Yeah, your sister set you up well.
Yeah, I have a couple of those discs, that original set she gave me, because I give like discs away all the time that I don't use, but I have like this little stack of those ones that I don't want to give away because I think they're just funny.
Yeah,
shit.
That's cool.
But yeah, that course was crazy.
Yeah, thick in there for sure. Yeah, for sure. Do you have other brothers and sisters that play too? Besides, is it Jordan? Jordan, is that her name?
So Jordan's my younger sister, and she definitely started the trend in our family. But actually, my older sister plays as well. My older brother plays, and both of my parents play. So, like, my parents are going to Worlds for the 4th time, I think, this year, and they're both playing. And yeah, they play in all the local tournaments. And yeah, I think I'm the last in my family to get into it out of the 6 of us.
Your dad is Ted, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I've played on cards with him before and stuff, and yeah, he's a good player, and he was always playing advanced, even though he could play like age protected divisions and stuff. And he's like, I just like the more competitive guys. Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah, and speaking of that, I did some snooping on your PDGA profile recently, and I noticed that quite quickly you decided to play mixed advanced instead of women's advanced. Do you want to walk me through that decision making?
Yeah. So that when I first started playing in tournaments, it's nothing bad or anything. It was just that there weren't very many women, and so what would happen is that like I would enter in tournaments, and then it would either be like just me and my sisters, or me and like there's a couple more women around here that play, but at the tournaments it would just be like 1 or 2 of us, and I like it. It was always like fun, but it's also fun to have a division, like a bigger, more full division, and like a larger group to play with. So I tended to just move to the advanced division so that it was a bigger
bigger pool.
No, lately, so there's on the island. There's a lot of like non-PDGA events, and in those ones, we've been really fortunate lately. Like the last one had 8 women in the FPO division. We have one coming up with 8 women in the FPO, and so the divisions are getting bigger. And yeah, thinking back on it, maybe it was better to stay in the women's divisions and try to like grow that division, but it was always just like 1 or 2 people in there. So yeah.
That was going to be my question, because here the women's groups are very small as well. And you play against the same 3 women every tournament, that kind of thing. But I was wondering if it had anything to do with playing against the bigger group to get better, faster, things like that.
Yeah.
Because obviously you got very good very quickly.
Yeah, I mean, that is part of it. Like I'm a really competitive person, and like at first I wasn't playing FPO, and like even a lot of the tournaments, like there wouldn't be people in the FPO. Like it would just there wouldn't be a lot of women registered for any division. And so yeah, it was like a little bit more fun to enter divisions with more people to play against, or like as silly as it sounds, even like at that point, or even still, duck golf, for example, like it's I don't know, $60 to register or something. And like I guess in the women's, if you win it, you get your money back, but like you have kind of a chance to like win some extra money back. And when I started, I was a student, and I thought it was fun to like maybe make $60 on the weekend or something. So yeah. So that was also part of it. It was just the women's divisions were so small, you couldn't even. I don't know. That sounds silly, but.
And I guess the third part of my question about this is, did maintaining your amateur status have anything to do with it? Because obviously you went to Am Worlds. Was that part of the plan, or did you just happen to find yourself in a position to go and compete?
Yeah, I think so. I think that probably worked out actually well with the pandemic, because I started playing tournaments like before the pandemic, and then kind of I started and I was like 8:30, 8:40, and I was kind of like in the 8:50s, and then like the 2 tournaments, there was like a February or a January and a February tournament before everything got canceled, and I think I went to like 880, then 883, and I was like playing like better and better rounds. So I like at that point I probably would have switched, though I did want to go to Am World, so I probably would have switched and just not accepted cash at those ones. But probably part of it was just the fact that at least where I was, there was no tournaments between March 2020 and Am Worlds. That was the first tournament I played in. So, yeah.
Absolutely. And it was strange because British Columbia pretty much got shut down for sanctioned events because of public health orders. But then all the British Columbians that could were bumping over into Alberta to try and play sanctioned events there. And people still ran unsanctioned all across British Columbia. But yeah, I understand.
Yeah, there were
weird time,
like unsanctioned.
really weird time. Yeah.
It's a weird thing. Like during it, I was totally like, like this makes sense. Like we should shut down stuff. And then looking back, I'm like, I guess maybe we didn't need to, but nobody knew. Everyone was just trying their best.
Yeah, of course, and that's all you can do.
Cool. What led you to think about going on the pro tour? Like, when did you decide to go to Vegas?
Yeah, so that was, it was after Am Worlds. I was like, that was really fun. I enjoyed it a lot. Just like playing in a huge division of all women was really cool. Like I hadn't had that experience before. And then, I don't know, I just got really excited about it. I thought I should try one of the pro tour events. And, fortunately my work's pretty flexible, so I can go do some of those things. And then, I don't know, as soon as the idea was there and I started like talking about it with people, I had to. And then I was
Yeah.
really lucky because I signed up for Vegas, and then two friends of mine, my sister and another friend, both signed up, and they came down and we went together. So we had a great time. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, that works out. How did you? How was it? What was it like playing with the players down there? Did you feel like you fit in right away? Did you have nerves going in?
Yeah. So that's interesting. It was so I had someone with me, a friend, and he was caddying for me. And during my first round, I was nervous. Like I felt
Hmm.
like, especially on the first throw and the first approach, I was like jelly. Like I
Yeah.
I didn't think I'd be that nervous, and I was like shaky. But I didn't I didn't feel like I was nervous, but I didn't play very well in the first round. Like I played well below my expectation for myself.
Yeah.
And afterwards, his commentary was, I was on the card with a woman named Holland Hamley, and she could just throw so far. And he was like, I feel like you've just never been on a card where you're not the person throwing the furthest. and like it, and he was like, I think you just got rattled and you started trying to throw further, and it resulted in just like losing some of
Yeah.
my like precision. So I hadn't I guess I hadn't thought about it, but I do like remember during the round being like, wow, like like I that she throws really far, and like I have
Yeah.
to throw really far to keep up, and that. And then so that was my first round. And then the second round I got to play with Zoe Andike, and I don't know what it was about her, but she was just like the most calming, like
Yeah.
wonderful person, and another woman named Leah, and we just had like, it was such a relaxing card. I don't know, that round. That was the round I shot really well, and
Yeah.
I never felt a moment of stress the whole round. It was like the easiest round of disc golf that I've ever played. So
Yeah.
it
Good.
was really cool.
That's a good feeling. Um,
Yeah,
what
overall,
uh,
it was nice.
what happened in? Well, how did you carry that momentum into the third round? And did you feel like you maybe collapsed, or did you feel like you didn't? Same thing happened in the first round. You didn't quite play to your skill level, or
Yeah, so the third round was kind of weird. It was like pretty windy. Um
yeah.
and that one, so yeah, and that one again, I was playing with Ella Hansen on the card, and again,
Cool.
she can like
Crushes.
absolutely crush the disc. And
Yeah.
but I think I like my caddy Nathan, he'd mentioned that to me after the first round, and it was kind of in my head, and I was like, you don't have to do anything like special here. You just play your game.
Yeah.
So that round, I actually like I I wasn't super happy with it, but it was mostly like there were like two really bad holes that I just like made
Hmm.
very stupid mistakes that resulted in double bogeys on holes that I had previously birdied, and
Hmm.
or like that I'd birdied in practice rounds. And so yeah, like those were my only two double bogeys of the tournament, and I think I went double bogey, birdie, birdie, double bogey, and it just
Hmm.
like that felt bad. but
Yeah.
but overall, I wasn't like too disappointed in that round, though. Like looking back, there were these like very easy things I could have done to
Yeah. For
make it
sure.
better.
Yeah.
but
Were you aware
it
that
was like, pardon?
I was just gonna say, were you aware that you had Disc Golf Pro Tours cameras on you at some points during the round?
Oh yes.
Yeah.
So there were that. I don't. I don't think it like affected me that much. I think I was able to like just be like, this is weird, and move on. But they like, I guess it was because I had played really well the day before. So there was
Hmm.
basically from like hole 3, there was a camera crew, and it was the card. There were there were 4 of us on the card. Obviously, me, Ella, Madison, and Hope. But the cameras they didn't look at anyone but me and Ella. And like when I'd throw a bad throw, like they didn't like switch to the next person. They just like would keep the camera right on my face as I like put my stuff in my bag and tried not to react. And like there was one of the holes, the first hole I double bogeyed, I pulled my drive and I went right into these vines, and it was like absolute jail. And the camera, man, like 2 other people still had to drive, but they just stayed right on my face the entire time. And then they tried to like follow me in to where like I'd thrown my drive, but it was like barely big enough for me to get into. And I was like trying to find a way to throw out, and there was this like set of cameras trying to follow me into this like horrible spot. So yeah, I was well aware they were there, but they were nice on the coverage, and they didn't they only showed a good shot that I made, I think.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Cool.
But it was nerve-wracking, but like not as nerve-wracking as I thought it would be.
Yeah, I've only played on camera once myself, and for me it was the first 3 holes where like, you know, you're very conscious of your movements and everything, and then you kind of get used to it enough that it's second nature until you do something that, you know, until the double bogey moment happens, and then suddenly the pressure's back on, at least for me.
Yeah, I think I was like able to laugh it off because like the situation itself felt so comical. Like I was in these vines and like I don't know. But I also felt lucky because they kind of joined us like around hole 3 or 4, and so I'd already had time to like shake off those, because I always am really nervous on the first hole. Like I don't even know if I'm going to remember how to throw the disc on hole 1.
Yeah.
So it was nice to have them join a little later.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Cool. Do you have any other Pro Tour aspirations? Are you going to any other big events?
Yeah, I am. I'm going to, so at the end of this month, on the 20, I think it's the 27th to 29th, I'm playing SeaTac Open,
cool.
which is like a pro, it's, a lot of the pros are there, but it's not like a Pro Tour event. And then the next weekend is Portland Open, and I'm in that. And then the weekend after that is Beaver State Fling. And I think I'm first on the wait list for that. The night of the sign up, I wasn't sure if I wanted to do all 3, and then I decided I wanted to do all 3, but I was like a minute too late.
Yeah.
So hoping I get into that one.
Cool.
And
yeah, I'm sure you will, because everyone has to sign up inside of 45 seconds to get into these events nowadays. If you're 2 minutes late, you don't get in. Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah. But thankfully, some people are more eager than they have for days off or whichever. So I'm sure you'll get in. We'll be cheering for you there.
Yeah, I'm really excited. And then I'm signed up. I'm also on the wait list for the Preserve, and I'm registered like an in for Ledgestone.
Oh, so, very cool.
Awesome.
Very cool. Yeah, so you're hitting up quite a few.
Yeah, I have like we just figured this summer was like a fun summer to go try it. And then because I'm playing BC Open, and that's a qualifier for Throw Pink Women's Disc Golf Championship.
Yeah.
So if I got a spot for that, I'd probably go to that. And then I'm doing nationals in PEI this summer. Cool. Now that I say it all, it sounds like a lot of disc golf.
Yeah, it's a full schedule.
Yeah.
Plus, I'm sure a handful of local events on top of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm actually the 2 weekends from now. So 2 weekends ago, my friend and we ran a sanctioned tournament on the island, just like
awesome.
A quick one, and we're doing another one in 2 weeks. So
very
that's
cool.
been fun to try to like figure that out.
Yeah.
Well, you'll know if you're cut out for full-time disc golf by the end of this year, because your schedule seems pretty full.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I'm trying to be as stressful and full as possible.
Yeah. Was that the first event you've ever ran?
Yeah.
Cool. And you're planning to do more?
Yeah, it was a pretty easy one. It was, I don't know if you've seen them popping up on Disc Golf Scene. They're called Get In, Get Out, Get Rated tournaments. And so it's like a $5 entry. It just covers the PDGA cost, basically. So
cool.
It was pretty easy to run because all I had to do is like pay the booking fee, and then there's no payouts or anything. but it snowed and hailed, and it was absolutely miserable. So
Oh no.
was something. We had people dropping out mid-round. We had people. It was stressful. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wished I wasn't playing when that was all happening. I think if it wasn't that kind of weather, it would be fine. But like, yeah, it was really stressful.
I bet.
Yeah.
Should be better weather for your next one.
I hope so. And I think I have more like people I know around to help me out with stuff in the next one.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay, before we move on to tournament running and stuff, I want to grill you about some AmWorld stuff that we glossed over. So I've watched that Final Line coverage a couple times now. And you're playing great. You're behind by 1. You catch 2 birdies for the outright lead. And actually, we should go back. Starting that round, being on lead card, AmWorlds, another Canadian in the group as well. How are you feeling going into that last round? Because that must be a pretty big deal.
Yeah, it was like, I don't even know how to describe it. I was really excited and happy, but it was like a weird feeling because I hadn't had I didn't know what to expect for myself because I hadn't played a tournament in so many years. Like I thought I'd improved at disc golf, but I didn't know what to expect. But then once I started playing the tournament, I was like, okay, like if I just play well, like I should be able to make finals. So I was really happy to make finals, but I was so nervous off that first tee. Again, full body jello feeling for sure.
Yeah.
And yeah, but very excited.
That's, to be expected. I still get nervous on the first tee box of C tiers. So AmWorld's lead card, big deal. You're coming down the stretch. You're chasing by 1. Do the nerves start to mount more and more as you play, or did you get into a bit of a groove where you could be competitive without worrying about that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I wasn't nervous during the round. Actually, like, I've looked back. I haven't watched it many times, the footage, but I've watched it. I think I've just watched it the one time, and I was watching, and because in my other round on that course, like I think it was hole 3 of the final 9. There, I threw like a forehand, and I got a birdie. Like it was like a 360-foot something downhill, but I hadn't. That's not what I did in the other round, and it's not what I did in practice. And I was like watching that, I was like, it was a great throw, but like, why did I all of a sudden decide to do that? And I guess I was feeling really like good and confident about it with whatever wind there was. So I don't remember feeling nervous exactly, but once the round started, I didn't feel nervous. But then those last 2 holes, I think I just like, I don't even know what happened. I gave up at one point.
Oh no.
or like not gave up. Well, do you want me to talk about the last 2 holes yet?
I mean, I was going to get there eventually because that's what I was going to ask, is that you realize you're behind by 1, you catch that birdie for the tie. And I've been in those situations as well, where then you have to make a choice whether you intend to match and not make a mistake, let the other person feel the pressure, potentially push it to a playoff, or press because you know that your skills on these last few holes might be different than the person you're competing against, where you know you can get this birdie, they can't, things like that. Just wanted to ask about the decision making that went through those last 4 holes or so, and the feelings that went with it.
Yeah. So okay, so I got the birdie to tie, and then so hole 4 of the playoff. It was one I'd thrown it a few times that morning, and I hadn't thrown it well, and I didn't throw it well in my round. I think I bogeyed it in the semifinal round, and I did that thing where like I was standing on the tee ready to throw, and I had just convinced myself that I was going to like throw my drive too low because I'd done it before, and so I like proceeded to throw my drive too low. And then I had a really good scramble on the hole, and I I threw a good up shot, and then I made a long, like I think it was like kind of just almost at the edge of circle putt, kind of uphill to save the par. And then the next shot, again, I'd thrown it that morning, and I kept early releasing my drive into the trees, and I was just like on the tee box, and I was just like, you just have to like commit to this throw, like throw it flat. And I actually thought I was one of the, like I'd say Chantal has a lot of power, but on that card, like I think Chantal and I were probably the only two with the distance to get the birdie on that hole. So, I like was seeing that hole as an opportunity for me to get I knew I could potentially get a birdie. And then I absolutely, it was just like a foot away from the pin, my drive. So then I was feeling really good. And then the next hole was one that almost everybody bogeyed in the first round, but I parred. Like it was a shot I'm comfortable with. It was just like you had to trust a hyzer out over the water a little bit. And so that hole felt really easy. I did it. Actually, almost I thought I was maybe going to throw my approach in by accident. It got really close to the basket. So that one was fine. And then I was, so I was 1 up at this point with 2 to play. And I think that on the second last hole in the semifinals, I think I might have been the only one to get the birdie on it. And so I knew I had the distance to do it, and I just early released it. And I actually was I was actually incredibly lucky. I think I hit a stake and stayed in bounds on my drive. And then I had a really good approach, or a really good up shot from a hard position. And then, and then I missed a putt it wasn't even it was, my brain didn't know what to think at that point, because I wasn't nervous. I wasn't anything. And I'd been putting really well. I hadn't missed any of those putts. And so, I missed I don't know, maybe somewhere between 15 and 20 feet. It wasn't that long of a putt. And I missed it, and and then we were tied again. And I was like, it's fine. Just the last hole, nobody was going to birdie it. I just had to par it. And as you know, I didn't. But again, I threw a bad drive. And then it was a similar thing. And this is something I'm trying to work on in my Mendo game, but I'd practiced that hole. I'd done that same thing, and I found that approach from under the trees up to the basket really hard. And I just had a lot of doubt before I even threw my approach shot. I was scared of turning it over and going out if I threw my putter too hard. And I should have just thrown a forehand mid-range approach. I've watched it back and been like, why didn't you just throw the really easy forehand?
No, absolutely. Approach. And it that's why I wanted to ask you, because it did seem like a bit of a mental breakdown, not a shot type breakdown. Because watching the holes up to that, your approaches were really, really good. I was like, wow, because you did put a couple, like the one you said you might have thrown in. These were landing within 5-10 feet of the pin. Yeah. And so I thought you would just elevated basket, chip up and get it. And then when you left it short, that's an extremely scary putt too, with the OB behind, having to putt at the OB with the elevated basket. And you gave it a good run, but that's a big push to putt that far uphill as well.
Yeah. Yeah, it was weird. I thinking back, I don't know, again, it was just a big learning opportunity, because thinking back, when I went up to my throw, I just had so much doubt about whether I could do that up shot. And I don't know why, because watching it later, it's not that hard of an up shot. It shouldn't have been a hard up shot. And so,
the rest is history.
I just took that choice.
Yeah.
But it was,
I mean, probably a formative experience, right? For your tournament game as well. You are your number one teacher, right?
Yeah, actually, like that was one of my main takeaways from Am Worlds was actually that I I did throw a lot of good approaches, but I would say like on the whole, the people I played with were much better at longer approach shots than I was, and I'm not sure if it's because like a lot of the courses that I play on like haven't I don't know there's not a ton of times that I get to practice that sort of like 200 to 250 foot approach, and I always felt shaky on those, so I've been practicing those and trying to get better at those, because I always was doubting myself, and everyone else seemed to just like stand up and throw those like they were easy. And so yeah, that was one of my big Am World takeaways.
Yeah, and again, like with the ultimate background, I thought that would be your shot. The 200 foot land soft kind of shot. So yeah, it's unfortunate how it shook out.
Yeah, watching it back, I was like, why did I do what I did? Like I just and like I had one of my friends, he like watched it right away and he just like texted me. He's like, what was that approach, Julie? Like, what were you doing? And it's so fair. It was not a good decision.
I mean, I'm sure that comes from a good place because your friend knows that you're very capable of that shot. But with the pressure of a world title and everything on top of it, it's a hard shot no matter who you are.
Yeah. I think it was just I think I was nervous and I rushed it and I didn't take time to think about it. But yeah, learned a lot.
Yeah, learned a lot for sure. And then at the end, just going to move this into some women's disc golf stuff. Allie gives a speech. She looks like she's about to crack a little bit, gets very emotional, talking about the great group of women she played with and the experience over the whole weekend. What was it like having that time dedicated to amateur women's disc golf, and what was it like being on that card with those other women?
It was, it was so cool. I had never, as we were talking about earlier, I hadn't had an opportunity to play with that many women, like rarely a full card of women, let alone a division with multiple cards of women. And so that alone was just awesome. It's awesome to see. And it was like cool to meet all those people. But yeah, in general, there was not a single person I played with that I didn't really enjoy playing with at Am Worlds. I got to play. I'm not sure if I played. I think I played 2 or 3 rounds, maybe 3 rounds with Allie, and I really enjoyed playing with her every round. I got to play with Melody. I'm gonna get the last name wrong. I think it's Castruita. And she and her sister Aria are also playing on the Pro Tour this year, and that was really fun to watch. And like, I think she's been struggling a little bit in the past few weeks on the tour, but she is like a force to be reckoned with when she gets herself figured out. And it was so much fun to play with Chantal as well. I'd heard of her. I'd seen her on like Instagram and YouTube. But yeah, it was cool to play with other Canadian women, and it was really cool to have 2 Canadian women out of the 4 finalists. But yeah, in general, cool. It was so positive, and it was so much nice. It was so nice to play in a huge women's division like that. I loved it.
Yeah, and it looked like a blast. Like you can kind of tell on coverage the vibe on the group and stuff, and it wasn't all daggers and who's going to win. It was still a lot of positive stuff that way. But going to the tournament itself, my first tournament I played was a great experience, and it's the thing that got me to come back to play more disc golf. How do you think we can get that type of experience to more women in Canada? Because it doesn't really exist around here. And I think once you have one of those super positive experiences, it's what makes you hungry to come back, meet more people, play more golf, and continue.
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I've been thinking a lot about that. I'm feeling really lucky because on the island we actually have a really strong women's community right now. So we have, well, we have Christy and Alicia who've been here for a while, and they're two of the top women in Canada, and they've been kind of like laying the foundation for a women's community kind of down here in the South Island. And then Nanaimo has a really good women's community. And then what I've been doing is I've been trying to, and this happened a lot more through the winter than it has in the last few weeks, but we were doing kind of women's rounds on just Sunday mornings. We'd just show up and we'd have like 6 of us that would go play around on the weekend, and we would just like, I don't know, it was really relaxed and fun. And then because there were these casual tournaments, not PDGA ones around the island, like those women would come play at the tournaments to play with their friends, and we've slowly got it so that, like, I think so for the tournament in 2 weeks that I'm running, I opened the women's registration a week early, and just like protected it for women's registration, and I think we got 16 people to register early, and then 3 more signed up so I think we have 19 women signed up, which is like, I think it's exceptional.
That's
like
huge.
That's
it is.
In tournaments, and we've been seeing kind of that like 10 to 15 number quite a bit. But also what happens here, and I don't know if this happens everywhere else, what's been happening is just everyone plays up to FPO. Like, it ends up being a group of like 8 women in FPO just because people want to play together. So yeah, these small tournaments, like the get in, get out, get rated ones, are pretty good for that, because you're not just like donating your money to the top pros.
Yeah.
Basically, it's not a $60 entry fee, so it doesn't matter where you play at all, because there's no prize money. It's just score based, and it doesn't matter. It's for your own mind, I guess, how you score.
Yeah.
So that's been good for it. But yeah, I'm not sure how it started here, but it's been getting, the last year or so, it's been getting bigger. But yeah, the early registration is always nice too. It gives people a bit of time to think about it, because I don't know about you guys, but our tournaments fill up in 2 minutes. And if they don't have protected divisions, then maybe they're missing women who did want to sign up for a tournament but didn't get there fast enough, or had to, or like, and I mean, I guess everyone's in the same boat, but we're just trying to make it as easy as possible for women to sign up. Like, make it, like, skew it in the easier for women direction for now. And then, trying to make the tournaments really accessible. Lots of prizes, lots of making sure we have prizes for women's divisions, making sure holes are thought out so that everybody can play the holes. We've had tournaments where there's like an island you have to make that some people can't throw to. And so, I don't know. That's been working around here, but
yeah, you pretty much checked off everything that also happens around here. A lot of the women play in the divisions based on their social groups more than their skill level. We also have been opening tournament registration a couple of weeks early for the women. And I think that's something every tournament director should be looking at doing these days, because disc golf has gotten so popular. The tournament will fill. You don't have to worry. Mm-hmm. The tournament will fill, and protecting those spots for women only helps grow the sport more. If you're not doing it, I think you're making a mistake these days, to be honest with you.
And like, I'm excited for the day that I get 50%, or like, if I get over 50% women, then I guess we'll start to think about what's fair then. But like, I'm so excited for the day that the numbers start to get much higher.
Mm-hmm. I think it's coming, honestly.
I think so, for sure.
I hope so.
it really is a sport for everybody, and everyone says that, over and over again. But it doesn't matter how tall, short, heavy, strong, or capable you are. You can go and have a fun time competing with other people based on your division. So you can, do all the right stuff and have a great time, make new friends, and have the social part of it as well.
Yeah.
It's actually interesting because I was looking at I did some math on some PDGA stats, and Canada actually has it's still a pathetic number when you look at the grand scheme of things, but Canada has one of the higher percentages of active PDGA member percentage for women. So,
wow.
It's only at like 12% or something like that, but it's better than a few other countries. Not the best, but better than a few other countries.
We are kind of a leader in women's sport.
Yeah.
In my opinion, anyway. If you look at how far the women's soccer program in Canada has come, it's phenomenal. And for especially a place that's not traditionally a soccer kind of country. Our women's sports, we look at men's hockey and things like that, but our women's sports are so much better than our men's sports as a whole.
I was actually just on the
they
hockey.
Really are.
I didn't watch any of the men's hockey at the Olympics, but I watched the women's.
No, I watched all the women's. Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
So did you know? I don't know if you knew this, but one of our local female players, she's actually starting the first women's only B tier event in Canada, and it's going to happen in Cranbrook in August. So I don't know how that works for your schedule, but that would be cool to see you there. But yeah, is there anything in the works similar to that? This event is called the Women's Kootenay Crush, by the way.
Okay, Okay, I'm gonna look that up and see how that fits my schedule because I would love to join.
Yeah.
Over here we have. So I'm like not involved in the organizing of it, but there's the women's global event that happens every year, and I believe that 3 of our local players, Alicia Bird, Gabby Lee, and Laura Kestelou, are organizing a women's global event tournament, but it'll be a C tier. But yeah, there's that's happening here, and I think they're really hoping to like get a big number of women out for that one on the island, and maybe some from the mainland as well. But yeah, that was something I was talking about last year as well, about trying to get a B tier going. And like, I would love to see how this women's only one goes, because I couldn't decide whether it was going to be possible to get enough women to do a women only.
It's definitely the concern, and part of the attraction, I think, for this one is, first of all, Park Pro, myself, probably Jesse, we're going to be doing footage for it, so we're going to do coverage for the tournament. And then also, I believe it's already at about $1,000 out of cash, and I think that's climbing. So that's another reason why I think hopefully we can get some more women to come to this event. But
well, I guess we can keep plugging. If you have time for a little Canada tour, that is the second to last weekend in August. It's the 20th, 21st. Then just an hour away from that, we are running a B tier, which there are some secrets, but there will be a lot of added cash and stuff. Only an hour away the weekend after. And the weekend after that is Falcons Flight in Sundre, which typically has a big FPO field and a lot of added cash. So if you and any of your FPO friends feel like going on a road trip, that's the time to do it.
That's the time to do it.
Yeah. I think Falcons Flight's the same weekend as Nationals, right? Or is
it's
it one
the weekend before? It's the weekend before.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm definitely gonna try to look into this and see what I can do. Because I would love to come, like, play in and support those events, especially events that are trying to like make it more accessible for women. That's really exciting to me.
Yeah. Cool. I just wanted to touch on your sponsor. You're sponsored by Castplast?
Yes.
And do you have any other sponsors?
Nope, that's it.
Cool. So how did you get involved with Castplast? And did you decide on Castplast? Did you approach them, or did they approach you?
Or did it have anything to do with Christy Lee?
So it did a little bit. What happened was another company actually reached out to me and offered me a sponsorship, and I would I preferred Sassaflast to this other company. And so I sent them an email and I was just like, hey, like I'm an ultimate player turned disc golf player. Here's my rating. Like this is a bit about me. And they were excited to have me. And so they like signed me up, and they've been really good to me, and they've been helpful with like what I want to do on the pro tour this year. So it's been really nice working with them, and I like their discs. They fly well for me.
Yeah, I was gonna say the disc and the plastic and everything. So, what's your favorite disc?
Depends on the day. My three main ones, like the Rico, like the putter, I really like the way their putter flies. I like it for approaches. I like it for forehand approaches, and I like putting with it. So I like the Rico. I drive mainly with the Grimex. It's like a little bit more stable, but I have 3 different ones in my bag, and they're like all different stability. So it feels kind of like I have 3 drivers. And then my like biggest surprise disc that I liked when joining them was the Cax Z. And I throw it in the soft plastic, and I can throw it like pretty much as far as my drivers. Like with my drivers, I think I max out somewhere like a really good throw maybe gets 370, a normal throw like 340 to 360 is kind of my max, and I can throw the Cax Z like 320. So it's,
nice.
It's supposed to be a mid-range, but it just flies so straight and so predictably, and I love that disc.
Cool.
Yeah, I was playing in Ontario, playing some practice with GMAC actually.
Oh yeah.
And then he was whipping the Cax out on holes that I thought had no business having a mid-range thrown on them, and it just kept on going. Yeah, it's a great disc.
Yeah, my friend calls it my cheater mid-range because it like really doesn't fly like a mid-range. It goes so much further. Like yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
I don't know if I have anything else.
I don't know if I do either. I learned a lot.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to support you for the rest of the season. I'm glad you told us the schedule because I will be watching on UDisc.
Yeah.
Oh, good. Yeah, I'm really excited. That's been one of the most surprising things for me is just the amount of people that are like watching me and cheering me on. Like the really good round I shot at Vegas, I turned my phone on after the round, and it just like didn't stop buzzing for like 2 minutes. It just was like getting messages, and it was so nice to have that many people just like, and like a lot of people I didn't know just like watching me and cheering me on, which is cool.
Actually, that's funny you say that because we had something going on. I can't remember. We were doing like a work party, or I was playing like a doubles round in the during Las Vegas Challenge, and someone's like, hey, do you guys see how good Julie Moens' second round was? And there's like 30 people that all went, who's Julie Moens? And then the next day, we were all talking. He was like, did you see Julie Moens? Did you see Julie Moens? You're a household name within like 24 hours. Yeah,
that person was me. Because I happened to be watching the coverage that day. I was like, oh, Julie Moens. She's Canadian.
Yeah.
So, very cool. And I actually thought to myself, I was like, oh, we're going to start a podcast. We got to get Julie on. And I thought to myself, her phone's probably going to blow up right after. I'll probably wait like a few days, and then I'll ask her.
Yeah, you got me at a good time.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was really cool. I had it at Worlds too. I had no idea how many people like would care, but a lot of people cared and reached out, and it was nice.
It's a lot of pride in Canada.
A lot of pride, and the disc golf community is pretty tight knit no matter where you go. So
yeah.
Do you have anything to add? Is there anything you want to plug?
No, not really. Just really happy to talk to you guys, and really happy to hear you guys supporting women's disc golf and interested in making it better for everyone. That always makes me happy. So it's really great to talk to you guys.
Cool. Yeah, it's awesome to talk to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for coming on, and it was a great conversation. If you're are planning on coming through and in the neighborhood, hit us up. We'll make sure you get looked after as well as possible.
Well, we'll do. Yeah, the tournaments sound great. I'm gonna try to actually draw out my schedule and figure out what I can do this summer. But yeah.
Cool.
All
right. Well, have a good night.
Thanks, you guys too.
Thanks, Julie. Bye. Bye.
All right, we're back to our regular scheduled podcast. That was Julie Moens. It was great talking to her. Really good conversation. It was really cool to get to know her. Really nice to get to know some of the stuff that she's doing for ladies disc golf out on the coast. And I think one of the biggest things that I took away from that is that she is a very competitive person. She seems to catch on to some of her mistakes and learn from them, not just like what she needs to do differently, but also on the mental side. So I think that's pretty awesome to see in an up and comer. So
Yeah, you couldn't ask for a better ambassador for Canadian disc golf. Like you said, she's extraordinarily competitive. She's well-spoken, and she's trying to grow the local disc golf scene. You know, she's TDing those get in, get out, get rated tournaments, and obviously everything else she's doing for women in her area. So
yeah,
couldn't be more proud of her, and couldn't be more proud to be another Canadian disc golfer with Julie Moens in our roster.
Yeah, very exciting. Looking forward to seeing her at some of those future tournaments, and hopefully we'll get to meet her as well. So we'll see. Speaking of get out, get rated, our Rusty Ratings series concluded, and I don't know if you knew this, but that was the actual bit of inspiration that I had for starting those. Try to get, if new players, if you didn't have a rating, you can get your rating, or if you didn't have enough tournaments to get a rating, you can get it redone.
Yeah, we actually probably created a handful of propagators too.
Oh, 100%.
Which is really going to help ratings in the area.
Well, the biggest thing is that our golden tournament concluded last weekend, so that's 4 tournaments. I was thinking about this. It was we TD'd 4 tournaments in April, which is kind of crazy. They weren't necessarily huge tournaments, but this golden one, we had about 60. I think we cracked the 60 mark.
Yeah, we're awful close if we weren't.
Yeah, I think there was a couple late
registrations and stuff too. Yeah, it's actually crazy because next weekend we'll be headed to Lethbridge.
Yeah,
I think you're filming now instead of playing,
yes,
which is exciting. But also at the end of that tournament, I will have played more sanction events by the first weekend of May than I did all of last year.
Yeah,
which is crazy.
It's nuts.
I didn't play my first sanction event last year until July, I think.
Yeah.
COVID year, but still.
And I know that there's a lot of people from Golden signed up. There's actually, shout out to the Okanagan guys, because I think there was about 15, I want to say. 15 guys and girls that came out, which is awesome to see. But there was a lot of people from Golden, and this was their first tournament because this was the first tournament in Golden. And they were so excited. They did so much work to the course beforehand, and it was so cool to see. And I'm sure that hopefully that lit a fire in their tournament aspirations. So
yeah, I think sometimes you just need that first one. I know we hosted it without a Golden person on the TD side of it, but they were super involved. The circles were painted, the OB was painted, the course was cleaned up. It was looking and playing great.
Yeah.
And now I'm sure all their wheels are turning on what they can do next for their next big tournament.
Yeah, for sure. And it was kind of nice because like we're from Invermere, which is about an hour and a half away. So I kind of left it up to the core group there to take care of the course, and they did a fantastic job. So it was kind of like, we TD'd it, but they were definitely the assistant TD.
Oh yeah,
they did a great job. So, and on that note, Matt,
all right, I'm gonna tell a story. So there was a points series involved with these 4 tournaments, and was Matt leading?
Matt was leading, yes, but not by too much.
So I think Matt might have been leading by 1 or something to that effect after 3 tournaments. We went into the final tournament. I was in second in the point series. First round, actually, it was Matt, myself, and our friend Timon, who was also in third in points. So the second card was the top 3 in the point series. We play. I was beating Matt at that point and thought, if I win against Matt, I win the series and I'll, smile my way to the bank. On the final hole, Timon, the person that was in third, mentions to me that we are tied on the final hole, which, take it as you will, may have gotten in my head a little bit, but I calmed down. And I threw my drive to like 8 feet from the basket. And Timon threw his like 30 long, downhill, hard putt to make. I thought, you know what? I tap this in. I've got Timon. Life is good. Timon proceeds to hit this 30-foot uphill through the middle of nowhere crazy guy putt to force us to tie. As we go back to the scoring table and start looking at things, because Timon and I tied, our series points were combined and then split. And then Matt ended up beating me overall by 1. And if Timon wouldn't have hit that crazy guy putt and I would have won, I don't know, would I have won outright? Or would I have tied with Matt?
You would have won because the way the point structure was, well, no, you would have been tied.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So instead of getting a tie for first, the third place guy hit a not impossible, but very difficult putt to combine our points to make it so I lost to Matt.
So big shout out, Matt Reardon. He's the guy behind DiscGolfPark. I think he got the podcast bump. Yeah, I think that's the only reason he won.
Yeah, he's been supporting the podcast, and we've been shouting him out every day. I don't know what happened, if there's a little podcast magic in the air, but in the end, he came through, and won the series.
Yeah, so, sponsor the podcast, I think.
And sponsor the podcast, and you will win
some tournaments. So,
but also show up to your local events, right?
Yeah.
He is from Alberta.
Yeah.
I mean, in the Rocky Mountains, close to us. But he made the drive to play all 4 of the events.
Yeah.
He showed up, he put the work in, and he deserved to win.
Yeah. I have a little story as well, but before we get to that, I also just wanted to shout out Christy Shields. She won the FPO division.
Mm-hmm.
Big win from her. I think she won every tournament.
Yes.
So I feel like there was, not a chance that she was.
Yeah, I think she was locked in to win by the end of the 3rd event.
Yeah. So shout out to her. She's been playing some really good disc golf.
Mm-hmm. What a fantastic
really consistent
putter, hey?
Yeah. So the ace pot was up to $715. Christy gets there Saturday morning in the practice round on hole 14, which is, I wouldn't say is the easiest hole on the course.
This is ace.
To ace, but it is aceable. It's over 200 feet, and she aced it in the practice round. No one got an ace throughout the whole tournament. It was actually kind of bizarre because there was a lot of really close. It was funny because you're playing this. The course is pretty small, so you can hear throughout the course wherever you are on the course. And there's a lot of oh man, so close. So it was pretty fun.
Yeah, we actually walked up to hole 17 in the first round, which is the shortest hole in the course. I don't know what it is. It's 130 feet or something like that. It's like just outside of a jump putt. Okay, maybe more than just outside of a jump putt, but
yeah.
Matt hit chains and spit out, and then I think Timon hit the cage.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh boy, this is the hole, and it is going to get aced.
Yeah.
And they ran it again in the last one. Didn't quite get it. And I was stunned that nobody got it.
Yeah.
We had about
Crazy.
60 players, and my math might be bad, but I'd say 15 holes on that course are under 250.
Yeah.
So it was primed for an ace, and I was sure we'd all be cheering on somebody taking out a huge ace pot for a little C tier.
It's pretty funny because when you follow the Golden Disc Golf Club, they have a little bit of a social media, and if you follow them, they post aces every single day.
Yeah, totally.
Like, it's one of those courses. So super surprising, but that ace pot is getting carried over to Rusty Raven. Not Rusty Raven. That's the one that we finished. It's getting carried over to
Rumble at the Raven's Nest 2.
Rumble at the Raven's Nest 2. Definitely something to look forward to. It's already at $715, and you have to assume that people are going to want to win it, so they're going to buy in. So I'm guessing it's going to be up over 800, approaching 900. So
I think it's going to be well over that. If you do the math, we will be putting that tournament to at least 144 players.
Yeah.
Assume 100 people buy in. And it's a $5 ace pot. That's another $500. I think this will be a $1,200 ace minimum.
Yeah, that's incredible.
Take the week off work.
There's some money to be won there. Yeah, so I'm just going to go into a little story that I had, and this is mostly just to segue into a little rules discussion because I didn't actually, I got pretty lucky, actually really lucky on some potential OB there. There was a lot of OB there, which was the biggest challenge of the course, I think. And so on hole 9, there's this. It's not a long hole by any means, but I threw it pin high, but out of bounds. I took my meter, but I used the new rule where you're able to use the circle. And I took my meter not completely directly parallel, obviously, but I used it in a way because there's a bunch of bushes and a tree in front of me, and I wanted the best window to the basket. So I took my meter, and it really was the only window that I could have had from there, and I canned my putt for my par. So I was pretty stoked, and that was the first time I was able to use that new rule and to success. So
Yeah, I actually used it as well. Hole 7, the longer one.
okay.
I kicked OB to the right off a tree. Very sad. But I was able to manipulate that radius in such a way that gave me like a 90-foot downhill jump putt.
Yeah.
But that's a lot better than if I came out perpendicular and had a scramble sidearm from a knee.
Yeah.
And so if people don't understand what we're talking about, if my arm is your OB line, in the past, you always had to take your meter directly perpendicular to the line of the out of bounds line. And now you can take anything on that radius, essentially, which means you get close to the basket farther. It really helps in situations where you've got bad footing, especially if it's close to water. And it's a really good rule to have in your head, in your back pocket when you're playing, because it can save you a lot of strokes.
But Jesse, what happens if you land close to the OB line?
So if my arm's the OB line and you do not go out of bounds, you can take up to 1 meter relief from the OB line. This is the same rule that's been in place for a long time. But in this case, you still have to take it perpendicular. You do not get to adjust the angle unless you've gone fully out of bounds.
If you'd like to see those arm illustrations, be sure to watch on YouTube.
I need another beer.
I believe our video is also on Spotify, so I think you can watch it there as well. So definitely worth checking out.
Check out my arms on YouTube and Spotify.
There you go. You're here first. All right. I think that's it for today's episode. I don't think we need to go for too much longer. So unless you got anything.
I don't have anything.
All right. Well, just make sure that you catch us on Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. If you could hit the 5-star review, if you enjoyed our podcast. If you didn't enjoy our podcast, don't hit any reviews. Let us know what we're doing wrong, and we'll try to fix it.
Yeah, if not a 5-star review for us, Julie Moens deserves a 6-star review.
Oh,
so,
easily. So, yeah,
Yeah.
we're not getting the 5 stars, that's for sure. All right. And be sure to check out our Patreon, patreon.com/parkpro. All your contributions there go towards me being able to take time off of work so I can edit this podcast. And Jesse's $300 fee per podcast.
That's a bold-faced lie. He needs the money to buy more of these beautiful Fieldhouse Brewing beers for our podcast.
All right. Thank you so much for listening. I'm Andre.
And I'm Jesse, and this has been the Northern Flights podcast. Thanks for listening.